Welcome back to another episode of Late Entry. We are hosted as always by Sweezy Too Easy
What's going on, y'all?
and your boy Double Dose over here. We don't know where Kyle is. We haven't heard from him since the Lions win. We think that he may be drinking himself out. He might probably been blacked out since about 3 p.m. So hopefully Mans is all right. But the Lions finally had some success today, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, hopefully Mans is good, not too good. So we got full slate of some games to talk about today. We're gonna hit the Falcons versus the Vikings, Lions Bears, Eagles Chiefs, Cowboys Giants, and a few other ones. But we got our resident Falcons fan over here.
Yes,
How
sir.
you feeling after? How you feeling after this dub?
Man, the most thing that I like the most about that win, it was ugly. Looked like a soccer game with all them field goals.
Bruh.
If I only had that one touchdown right there at the end. But as a diehard Falcons fan, if we got anybody there in our community that's a fan like me, you'll know we've probably had the most abysmal pass rush in NFL history. We ain't had a consistent pass rusher. And I'm gonna show my age. Some of y'all probably even know who this is. But Mr. John Abraham, a former New York Jet, an absolute dog. He came in like way. We're talking like after the Michael Vick era. It was like 2008, 2010. That's how long we haven't had a real pass rusher. I know we had Vic Beasley for maybe like two years. But Falcons have never had pass rushers. That's always been like our biggest issue. We had Tech McKinley, who I love Tech McKinley, and I was rooting for that guy. He didn't pan out. We've been searching for his pass rush forever, and today we balled out, man. We took a couple guys last year in the draft. Jay Pierce Jr., who before his collapse in Tennessee last year, he was projected to be possibly the number one pick the whole NFL draft. Inconsistent character issues pushed him, way back, and we're able to get, a first round talent way later on, paired him with Jalen Walker, and the whole defense was after it. So if we could get our defense, I'm only gonna say good, just competable, making up words here. Then the more and more Michael Penix,
I think the word you were looking for was compatible or competitive.
No,
competitive.
Competable. I said what I meant to say. We just trying to compete out here, man. Like I said, eventually the offense is going to flow. It is Brian Flores. We saw what he did against Caleb Williams in the second half. Anybody's going to have a hard time going up against him. And, J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix are basically rookies. Penix didn't play that much. J.J. missed a whole year. And it showed for both, the players today. They gave it their best effort. Bijan Robinson, who I've said in our rankings, I had him over Gibbs. And I've heard even Saquon Barkley say this. The quickest player in the NFL. The moves we saw, he had people left and right breaking ankles. I thought there was ice on that field out there today. His ability, just balance and making a cut, at full speed, it's pretty rare. Not too people can do that, to be able to move that way and his power. Like I said, he's, by far my favorite player, man. I was so happy that the Falcons got him. With him as a focal point, the sky's the limit. Drake London, Darnell Moneyman Mooney, he came back. As a Falcons fan, man, getting a win, putting it down the way we played, I can't be, I'm just pleased, man. That was a great game. It didn't look perfect, but I like what I saw. It's building blocks.
Man, so I want to respond to a few of those things. Let's start with Bijan because, it's a treat to watch him play. And I'm watching the game tonight. I'm like, all right, I'm thinking back to our running back rankings. Might have made some mistakes on there. He should definitely be way higher up.
Yeah.
Here's my only thing about him too, because they even played that Saquon clip that you talked about tonight. I know you mentioned it in the past, but my thing with Bijan is I feel like sometimes he tries to get too cute with it. Now, don't get me wrong. He is very good at, like we saw him tonight, he would go through contact. Like he'll go through contact. The first person is not bringing him down. My man is a dog. But sometimes, like I said, I feel like he tries to get too cute with it. You see a spot, it's a defender, it's the first down, it's the end zone, whatever. And rather than just like, all right, I'm fast, I'm racing him to a point, and if we make contact on the way there, I feel like sometimes you'll juke yourself too much, and then juke yourself short a yard or two of where you could have been. Do you feel that at all or no?
I mean a little bit. I mean, like I said, I think like Bijan's like a full all around player. He could catch it.
Absolutely.
He could run you over. I don't want him to be running people over. That's what Tyler Algier's for.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you mean. Like, kind of like Barry Sanders. You could
It's
say
like,
he might lose 3 yards, but it'll be the best 3-yard loss you've ever seen in your life. I get what you mean. I mean, I'd like him to get a little bit more north and south, but I mean, he's like poetry in motion, man. Like when you just
that's
watch him,
true.
you just like, your jaw's dropping. Like, how the heck did he get out of that? He had one. He picked up a first down. See the one he was on that guy, got up, stayed up. Like he just makes some crazy plays. I'm like, not too many players can do that in the league. It's like a special talent to do
Oh
that.
yeah.
He should definitely, hey man, you know what? I can't, hey, you do what you do, man.
It just reminds me
I
of
get
like
what you mean, but hey,
the
do
basketball
you,
player,
Bijan?
the basketball player who's like dribbling way too much.
I
Like,
mean, it's
nigga,
James Harden.
shoot. Like, just a
Tween, step back. Yeah.
like, all right, bro, like just cut. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
One cut, hit it. I don't know. I saw him like he'd be like, bro, you took 3 jab steps to take 1-2 yards. Like, all right, man, just I understand what you mean about like not trying to be like the contact guy because you got, I mean, kind of like the Lions, like the Lightning and the Thunder. But I feel like Gibbs and Saquon is like, all right, cut, and we're gone. Where Bijan's like, all right, cut, get a few yards, cut again. I'm like, all right. But like you said, he is crazy electric, though. Crazy electric. And he was, he might, I don't know. I want to do some more comparison between them. He might be better at the contact than Gibbs is. Which
Oh,
just makes
100%.
me,
I
which just
think
makes me,
Gibbs is faster. Like when Gibbs breaks away,
he's gone.
he's hardly ever getting caught.
Right.
I mean, Bijan's pretty fast as well too, but I think Gibbs had a faster 40. Bijan was like a low 4.4, high 4.3 kind of guy, but I think Gibbs is definitely faster. I think Gibbs is pretty quick as well too. He's a mean dead legger. It gets people like that all the time. Bijan can literally full speed, make one cut, and he's gone without losing too much speed. So they're definitely really similar. They're like I said, I think they're like 1A, 1B. I mean, both those guys are dangerous. They both, if you were 1-on-1, he must
Oh,
like
yeah.
back you back because you ain't bring them down.
Not
He
at
was
all.
out there breaking. He broke 3 people in one play. I'm like, yeah, this dude's crazy, man.
Hey, while we're on the topic of running backs, real quick, because I know we're not planning on talking about the game because it was a blowout. The Bills put belt to ass on the Jets today. I mean, let's get off topic for just a second. The Jets and the Steelers, dog. Week 1, they look like 2 incredible teams. Maybe it was because they're just playing each other because both of them look like hot garbage today. It was bad. Aaron Rodgers lost to fucking Sam Darnold today. And yeah, Justin Fields did not have it going on at all against the Bills. But that to get back onto the topic of the running backs, there was James Cook was lighting it up against them. It's another person I did not have on my top 10 coming into the season.
I remember that. And I was like, I don't know about that one, man.
Through 2 weeks, I am fucking looking very stupid for that one. That play where he had some contact at the line, cut right, and was gone. I was like, yo, that is crazy to make it through the contact and then the breakaway speed. James Cook, man, shout out to you. Salute. That was fantastic. Other running back news real quick, too. Lamar was lighting it up today against the Browns with motherfuckers I have never heard of before. He threw a touchdown to a nigga I've never heard of.
Devontae Walker, Tylan Wallace.
Yeah.
They got a lot of young people.
Yeah. But Derrick Henry, dog, he did nothing. He was a non-factor. I couldn't believe it. Blew a few of my parlays.
Browns have the best rush defense in the league, by the way.
Yeah, it showed. But they don't have a pass defense over my man Lamar. I think he threw like
pass defense or someone to pass the ball.
Yep. But back to the Falcons. So you make some other good points too. I would say it's very encouraging for the Falcons offense that Penix was able to go against the Brian Flores defense and not crumble. We saw, like you mentioned, we saw what it did to Caleb Williams second half of that last game, which we don't know, I guess, how good that is considering how Caleb looked today. But story for a little bit later. The fact that Penix was consistently making the right decisions. I had put a bet down on each quarterback throwing a pick today. Obviously, JJ threw one, almost a few more, but yeah, Penix made the right decision, and they were talking about how fast his release is too. He looked really good. And what's always good is, and people talked about this with like Tom Brady, of like he would go into a game and know, all right, this is the kind of game that it is. Like this is the game that I have to push the issue because otherwise we're not going to win, or this is the game that I just got to dink and dunk and not make a mistake. And Penix knew today it was the not make a mistake game, and he did not make any mistakes. That man looked good with it. It was kind of a snoozer if you like high flying scores, but when you're actually like locked in on like the plays themselves, my man was out there surgical with it and did not. He knew, hey, better to kick this field goal and let the defense get back at it than me to turn the ball over in harm's way. So yeah, shout out Penix. JJ dog. Both things. So obviously the Brian Flores defense that looked really good too because I felt like it was a battle of two defenses. It was just sacks on both sides. But JJ did not look like he was doing much at all. And it's like week 1, it was slow for 3 quarters, and then quarter 4 he really turned it on. Today I feel like they tried to click that button. It was not there. The Falcons defense was on his ass. And he could not find anybody. It was like, I mean, they got what, 6 points in total in the whole game, 2 field goals. That's what they put up against them. It was bad, but it wasn't just him too. The whole team was undisciplined. There was way too many fouls, or flags. I say fouls all the time, like I'm watching basketball. Too many penalties. That's what I meant to say. But yeah, it was not good, and I'm hoping that things start to pick back up because as a Justin Jefferson owner in 2 fantasy leagues, I can't keep having weeks like this, man. I can't do it. Do you think this is more about JJ coming along as basically a redshirt rookie, or do you think that it's more about what you guys did on defense?
Both, really. I feel like Raheem Morris, he had a game plan today. Raheem Morris, he's a defensive coach. I love Raheem Morris personally. He's a real player coach. He gets those boys up and ready to go. Like I said, Falcons have a lot of young talent. And for once, our defense is always middle of the pack. They're okay. Other than that Super Bowl run, when for some reason they just turned, went to like the best defense, it seemed like. I don't know how they did that, but Falcons defense has always been a Achilles heel, and I think he finally now has the pieces in place to kind of, mold the defense into, kind of what he visions in there. You see the best teams in the league, if you can get after the quarterback and play good defense, you could have, an okay subpar offense. The Vikings for this week, no run game whatsoever. So if you're going to be one-dimensional and you're going to have a young quarterback like JJ, I give him his credit, that man, he could be throwing. He threw 2 picks a day, fumbled 3 times, and only lost 1. He's a gunslinger, man. He'll throw a pick, he'll forget about it, then go right back out there. But I think
he only threw 1 pick. I think the second one hit the ground.
It was 2. He threw it right at the end. Yeah, he threw 2 picks today.
Oh, my bad.
Nah, you good. Like I said, he's basically a rookie, man. Nobody's gonna go out there for 17 weeks and have a flawless game. It's impossible. Everybody's gonna have an off game in there. But like I said, I think for him, he's got the raw talent. Like I said, at Michigan, he didn't really get to throw the ball. So like I said, he still has to kind of just develop. I want to say his limits, but like what he's capable of. He has to get comfortable outside that 50-yard post corner that he threw to Jettas right before the halftime, which was a beautiful pass, like right there on stride. Like I said, you see it, you see the flashes. It's just he doesn't, give it to you for the full game. Week 1, it took him not to literally half of the game, and then you kind of saw it. So like I said, you got to check it to experience. He's a young guy. You could really tell how much McConnell he rocks with the guy. Even if through his pick, he still got, every time that Lake talked, you see JJ locked in. Some critics might be kind of, their body language is kind of sluggish. They kind of off. I do like how JJ responds every single time. He takes all his criticism. He doesn't let it get to him. But like I said, he's a young guy. He's going to make some mistakes. I mean, heck, Peyton Manning threw over 20 picks his rookie year. You see how he panned out. And as a quarterback, you're going to have some off days. Tom Brady's had it. Everybody's had it. It's part of the game.
The thing about him, it's when you're comparing the two young quarterbacks together, like we talked about with Penix, the decision making he's processing it so fast. It's like boom, read, hit him, like leaving the ball the ball is leaving his hand super fast. With JJ, there was lots of times where it was like, all right, like he threw to I think Hawkinson on like almost like a swing route. He was open in the flats. It was like Hawkinson was there for a grip, and then the ball comes. And by that much time, the defense has had time to realize the Hawk is there and close in on him. So now that this ball, by the time it gets there, you're not really picking up any yardage. And it's like, I'm seeing that as the development of like, all right, your reads need to be faster. You need to get this ball out faster. Be more decisive, which is what you completely saw from Penix tonight. So it's like you said, the flashes are there because he'll have a good throw. But then, yeah, like there was I think it was Jalen Naylor. He was wide for a touchdown.
Yeah,
just overthrew him.
He had at least 5 yards between him and the defender, like easy. Those ones you gotta have.
Yep. But I think it'll come in time. Yes, the team I think is locked in with him, and McConnell's locked in with him. But I feel like the vibe was different tonight. I feel like they knew they weren't getting out of there with the dub. Like after JJ threw, I think it was the first pick. He was on the sideline. He was dapping everybody up, and that was like the big story out of week one. Was like every time a mistake happened, JJ was over there firing him up like, hey, we got this, we got this. Tonight he was doing that, and from what I could tell, body language, none of them believed that. Like he was over there like they were like, yeah, I mean, cool, yeah, all right, let's you know what I mean? Even JJ didn't seem like he had the hype. He seemed like he was trying to do it to replicate week one, but it was like everybody knew week one was not happening again. Any final thoughts on this before we move on to the next one?
No, the only thing I think that I think they can see from the Vikings is try to establish that run game a bit more consistent. As a young player, having to say okay, put the cape on, you're going to miss the game. You can't have him do that every single week. Like I said, I know Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones. I know Aaron Jones. He's not Aaron Jones who used to be in there. But like I said, you got to have more of a consistent offense. You can't just be completely one dimensional, especially with a young guy like JJ. You got to help him out with that.
And that was a big difference too between week 1 and 2. Was like for 3/4 of the Bears game, Kevin O'Connell was committed to, hey, look, if it's a yard, if it's 3 yards, if it's 5 yards, we're going to keep running this with Mason. And they did not have that same approach tonight. I don't know if they were like, all right, he's got some confidence, let's let him air it out. And maybe next week they'll go back to running it more. But yeah, they did not start that way. And by the time they really had Mason in there trying to run it, it was too late.
I mean, if you can have JJ and Aaron Jones have the same amount of carries and JJ beat him by 2 yards, like I said, 19 carries as a team, 7-8 yards. Yeah, come on. That's a lot to ask for anybody.
Yep. Lastly, just something I thought was funny. The announcers really had the audacity to come out here with 3 minutes left in the game talking about Aaron Jones is questionable to return with a hamstring. There's 3 minutes left, dog. Come on. Questionable return. That man is out. His helmet is off. He on the sideline yapping.
I'm not there in street clothes with that 3 minutes left.
It's over, dog. All right. Keeping it in the NFC, staying with the NFC North, we had another divisional showdown. Lions and Bears today. This was going to be going into it. It was like, all right, we got 2 0-1 teams, and they both really need to win. I feel like it was for Chicago, like, all right, we need to come out and show that this is not the same Chicago that we've had for the fans' perspective and for the team. The Lions were like, all right, we need to get back on track of trying to be who we were last year. And it was like, all right, somebody's going 0-2, and somebody's maybe taking off. The Lions put belt to ass today, man. They look like they had Ben Johnson back there calling plays still. Mm-hmm. It was ugly. It started off close, and then the Lions pulled away and never looked back. They were banging on them, dog. They had the defense, dog. They did the old trick play, the fake stumble toss that the Lions did to the Bears last season. You had the Lions doing the Lions leap, I guess is what they were calling it now. Amon-Ra St. Brown jumping in the stands. Did you see Jared Goff trying to jump in the
I
stands
did.
too? They had to pull his ass up.
Pull him up.
You look like me trying to get out the pool.
Oh man,
it was bad. Amon-Ra, my boy right here, Mr. 3 touchdowns, cooking. Things looked great today. I've talked before all offseason about where we were at, the loss of coordinators, centers, coaches. Like, all right, let's see what this is. Last week, after we got embarrassed by Green Bay, I said we need to take this week by week, focus on the opponent in front of us, not be thinking about us making a deep playoff run and everything now. Let's take it week by week and see what we look like. Today was a very, very encouraging step. My only concern is it was against the Bears. So I feel like, okay, the challenge this week, a mid to low team tier. Mid to low tier team. As we progress, we'll fight harder opponents, and we'll see where we stack up. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to get too high, beating up on a bad team, but I don't want to get too low of thinking that we can't take somebody else on. So, like I've been saying, week to week, let's see what next week brings for us. But very, very encouraged by what I saw today. What about you?
yeah. Like I said, let's give the Lions their props. In terms it comes to football, you can only play who you're playing against in there. And when you play those bad teams, you got to put it on them. We can see like trap games. Look at that schedule. Oh, we got the Browns, we got the Cardinals. Yeah, we gonna beat them by 40. Sometimes you kind of overanalyze it. Just think, we gonna walk in there, do what you got to do. But now let's give the Lions the credit. They came in there with the game plan. And one big thing I'd said, last week when they played the Packers, granted it's in Lambeau, that's a tough place to play. I said they lost their identity week 1. They didn't. The running game was obsolete. Sonic and Knuckles, they did their thing this time. Lions were always, a really balanced team. They loved that sub the run game, play action pass. Now you could get J-Mo over the top. They finally throw the ball. They weren't dinking and dunking this time. Isaac Tesla had another crazy one-hand catch.
Another one.
Shout out Isaac. But like I said, I told you, I don't think the Lions are going to be bad. I just don't see 15-2. But they're still the Lions. They still got probably one of the most talented teams in the league when all healthy. They're going to beat, probably 80% of their games. I'm thinking probably 12, maybe like 12-5, something around that. So like I said, Lions are still good. Granted, it is the Bears. But like I said, if you're going to play them, you got to blow them out. You don't want to leave up to no kind of expectation. Because if it would have been like a 2017 game, oh yeah, it would have been bad. Like I said, they just got to get their identity, run the ball. Jared Goff, another phenomenal game. I know we said he's not a force multiplier, but like I said, for that team, when they got their identity, they're rolling. Yeah, he's a fantastic quarterback for that team. The team loves him. They rock with him. They got his back. For the most part, it usually, takes care of it. When it comes down, they got to put the cape on. That's when it gets dicey. Then for the Bears, man, like Caleb has he starts out just looking amazing. He was cooking. Roma Dunze. I'm a little upset I let that guy walk from my fantasy team. I got to hold that L on that one. But he's like LeBron. They used to say, he'd give you like 3 quarters, fourth quarter, he'd disappear. Caleb is like first quarter. Then the rest, you just don't know. But the thing that bugs me is you could see it, because those first couple drive, he's cooking. He's on. It's rolling. But then, after that's they figure him out. I don't know what it is with it. But he just can't finish the game. But it's I see it. It's at the harness. They be like, okay, you got to complete a game. If you could do that, even just a little bit, now they were going to beat the Lions. Like I said, you just got to complete a game, man. We got to have a good game, build on that, so we could kind of, open it up. But I just don't get how he can't finish it. He'll look good and just falls apart.
I have some theories actually on this, and before I get into those two, to address your point, you're absolutely right. When you play a bad team, you got to punish them like a bad team. What was encouraging about this is I believe the last time they played the Bears was Thanksgiving of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when we were balling. We had Ben Johnson. We had Aaron Glenn. We were cooking. And the Bears almost beat us on Thanksgiving. Almost ruined my holiday. But they didn't because Matt Eberflus is a terrible fucking coach.
Yep.
But so that is encouraging about the Lions for that. I just want to see. I don't want them. I don't want the fans, and I don't want the team to think like, okay, just because we did that, now we're back. Because that mentality is how you start looking ahead.
Yep.
But as to the Bears situation, my thought process is this: because it seems like through 2 weeks, as the temperature gets hotter, Caleb starts melting. That's how it's looking through these 2 weeks. But if we go back to last season, even like we're talking about the Thanksgiving game, terrible, terrible Bears towing up with us on Thanksgiving, a team that has Super Bowl aspirations last season. So I don't think that Caleb himself is a folder. I think that he went through a whole restructure. This is his second year. Last year was complete chaos. Now you've got a new culture, a new coach, a new playbook, all of this. I think that he's got, and they talked about this with Justin Fields when he was there too. I think he's got too much going on in his head up there. It's like you're not able to go out and play free. When you go out there, and part of it too is this first quarter, the first 15 plays are scripted. Once you start getting off script, that's when you start seeing the struggles. And I think that when he's able to kind of like, all right, I know what I'm doing, we're operating well. But it's like once you have, like, I think that he's got too much in his head going on right now. It's like, all right, I can't make the mistakes I made before. I got to do the new plays. I got to do what Ben wants me to do here. And it's like he's not able to go out and play free. And I think that is starting to increase the pressure with him. It's not just the game pressure. I think it's the pressure in his head to live up to this new Bears regime. That's my 2 cents. But I think that it takes time. You got to, like I said, second year and a new first-time head coach. They've only been together for the offseason and now 2 games. I think that the Bears fans, and it's hard because they've had so much pain for so long. I'm at work. For everyone who doesn't know, I live in Chicago. I work in a Chicago suburb. I'm at work. People are like, hey, it might be time to start Taylor Bajan. It's like, yo, dog, or Tyson Bajan. It's like, dog, Tyson. But it's like, dog, it's 2 weeks. Like, look, you need to give them time to see. At least give them the season. See if we see progressions as it goes on. The Bears should not be focused on trying to make the playoffs this season. I think that you do that, you're setting the expectations too high. That's another team that needs to take it week by week. Let's see the chemistry come together. Let's see all these new pieces, the new coach, the new playbook. Let's see that all come together slowly and have some momentum going into the next season. That would be what I would think. So everyone needs to take a breath, let it breathe for a little bit, stop putting those expectations on them because you keep getting disappointed. And I think that Caleb, I'm sure, hears that. He's in Chicago. He knows what it is. Yeah. And so that's where that pressure keeps building and building and building. So everybody need to take a breath and let's see what happens. Let's stop talking about putting the backup in after week 2. I want to ask you about this. So, and you're the perfect person out of this podcast to ask because I know we're not going to get any objectivity from Kyle as it pertains to this. It seems like there may be, and maybe I'm reading too much into it. I'm wondering if there's some beef between the Lions and Ben. The defense obviously ran that celebration today as a shot at Ben. They went out there and beat the hell out of him and did not call the dogs off for a very long time, ran that score up. Is it all in good competitive fun, or you think there's some subliminal shots there that's deeper than just the, inside the regulation today? And if you think that there is beef, do you think that that's warranted? Because on one hand, you've got people that are salty that he went in the division. Like, all right, all of our secrets and everything. You're going to go in our division, have to play us 2 times a year. You could have gone anywhere. The other thought is that if Caleb is really what people thought Caleb was, you look at all the available jobs. There was the Saints. There was the Jets, where Aaron Glenn wound up going. Maybe the Patriots. I'm not sure how fast. Looking back, how fast. I think they wanted Vrabel actually. So that was.
He's a former Patriot too,
right? Because they got rid of old boy for him. But it's like I would think that the best situation, even though it's a hard division, would be working with what a lot of people thought would be a generational quarterback. I know we kind of throw generational around, but Caleb was very, very highly thought of coming out of college. What do you think about the whole situation? Was Ben wrong for staying in the division, and are the Lions wrong for having some beef with them, or do you think that it's just some competitive fun?
I'm actually glad you asked this question. I literally just had this conversation literally at dinner today with my uncle. First of all, let's look at the landscape of the NFL. There's only 32 teams. To get a head coaching job, some people may only get a chance. You may only get one chance. You got to seize that moment. But we know the teams that you probably had. Tennessee had one. Jaguars, I think, got a new coach.
Yep.
So the Saints, Bears. You gotta look. When I take a job, what do I gotta work with? Anytime you're getting, a new head coach job, usually your team, there's a lot of work going on in there. So you got to think, okay, where can I go where I can, have the best chance to succeed? Bears, every head coach usually wants to draft their own quarterback. You want to get your guy. That's usually how it goes. Pretty much almost every new coach that came in there, they drafted a quarterback, except for Jaguars and the Bears, because they already had somebody. But if I'm Ben Johnson, I left the Lions, you know, I might feel some kind of way. I don't think it's bad blood, but he probably took it as okay, you know. I'm a pretty confident person myself. I have a chance to stick it to that team 2 times a year. Not saying he want to take Dan Campbell's job, but of course, anybody, if you're a true competitor, you're gonna have some kind of fight. So, okay, I got a chance to play my old team. Let me go down there and see if I can stir it up in there. And of course, Caleb Williams, just pure talent, not going off anything else in there. That's better than Spencer Rattler and Derek Carr. You got to admit, in there, that's a better situation. It seems more attractive. And you can kind of see, like, Ryan Poles, he does a good job in drafting people in there. Roma Dunze, that's a good one. DeAndre Swift, he's all right. You invest in the offensive line 2 years in a row. Jalen Johnson, all-pro corner. Jaquan Brisker is a great safety. Like I said, you got pieces in there. I don't think the Bears are that far off. It just takes time, mold. You got to mesh. Things got to, go together in there. Which is crazy that you kind of said earlier that Caleb Williams struggles, off script. That was his specialty in college. People are afraid that he couldn't play on script. There was no questions about him being able to play off script because you could see when the play breaks down, he starts making magic. His problem was always playing on script. That was his biggest thing to say. I don't know if this guy could, run a pro style offense because you can't be going out there, running around, throwing across the body. That doesn't work in the NFL. You're going to get killed doing that.
Hey, Cam Ward. Do you see that play today, Cam Ward?
Yes.
That shit was incredible.
Yes. But and Cam Ward. Shout out Cam Ward. He's trying out there. But like I said, now if I was Ben, I'm definitely going to, the Bears. Like I said, you got pieces in there, really young team. It's tough. That division is a gauntlet. All those teams, they play. And then for the Lions, you got to think when you've been as bad as they are, people, coming to the games, going to own something, got a bag over their head. Now that you're up, I'll be doing that as well too. I'm trying to put 80 points every game. They're trying to get that old school, Detroit, bad boys Pistons out there. For the longest they've been getting, ran over, people, dogging them. Now it's their chance to, do that themselves in there. So I don't think there's any bad blood. Like I said, you play to win the game. I'm not gonna leave nothing to chance. I don't want no comebacks. I'm gonna go in there, blow this team out. I'm gonna go home. So no, I don't think there's any bad blood. I think it's just competitive spirit, really.
If the way I feel personally about the whole situation with Ben, because a lot of people were too, like I've been seeing the discourse on Twitter, like, oh, fuck him because he wanted to stay in the division. He had the chance 2 years ago to go be the Commanders head coach. First of all, this is before we knew what Jaden Daniels was.
Yes.
This was also, they had also been a very dysfunctional organization. Also inside a division with the Eagles and the Cowboys. So it's not like that would have been a cakewalk, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he turned that job down was because he wanted to give us one more year to rock it out with us. I can't be mad.
They had a real good chance to win.
I can't be mad and fault anybody for putting their advancement in their career on hold for one more year to say, I think that what we have here is special. Let's run it back one more year. He's not the reason entirely that we lost that game.
Yeah.
He against the Commanders. He didn't throw those picks. He had some pretty bad fucking play calls. I'm not going to sit here and hold you on that. But the fact he was invested with us. And eventually, the little birdie guy grow up and leave the nest, go find their own shit. You know what I mean? I can't
Mm-hmm.
be mad at him for that. So if it's all just fun and razzing, your old coach within the regulation, I'm cool with that. I hope that we as fans don't have some legitimate beef with this guy because, in my opinion, he gave us everything that he had as long as he could, even for one extra year too. So
Yeah.
for me, it's nothing but respect for Ben Johnson moving forward.
Really quick,
Yep.
because you just said, remember Josh McDaniels? Remember he was
Yeah.
supposed to be the head coach of the Colts, and he
Yes.
backed out
Yes.
because he thought he had a legit chance to become the Patriot head coach. Like I said, make a really point. Like I said, NFL jobs are really scarce to come by. Now I'm gonna play the race card really quick. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Okay.
If you're a Caucasian coach, you got a way better chance to get another job. Like at Brian Flores when he was with the Dolphins, he was trying his hardest out there. The team was looking, but he didn't have much talent. And look at him now. He was with the Steelers, had a little spout, some law trouble. I don't know what went on there and things like that. He can't get another head coach job. Raheem Morris, it took him forever. Coordinator job, like I said, it is hard for a brother to get a head coach job in there. So like I said, when you get that, opportunity, some people only get one chance. You really got to make sure that, if I go there, when I want to prove myself, but, any kind of coach, any kind of player, I've said this, ad nauseum in our podcast. These guys are supreme competitors. They're a lot different than us. They think differently. They think I could go anywhere. I'm going to succeed. Me, I'm realistic. I can't go out there play on Sundays. I'm getting killed out there. But like I said, when you're one of those guys in there, like I said, it's a treat to play in the NFL or coach in there. That is the top of the top in there. So I can't fault them from going, I could go there. I could turn the team around. You got to have that confidence in yourself. If you don't, you're like, I don't know. It's the Lions. We're playing in Detroit. I don't think we can win this. If that was my coach, I look at them like, man, I don't want this man coaching me. He ain't got no faith in us. Yep. So like I said, I don't fault anyone for taking a job. Like I said, there's only 32 teams. It ain't guaranteed.
Hey, let me ask you too. You're talking about confidence with teams. Do you know I think it was either over this weekend or last weekend. Grambling played one of these
State?
they played one of these big powerhouses. Who did they play? Was it Ohio State? Who was it?
No, Ohio State. I don't know who we played last time. Grambling, they got absolutely.
It was like
I think they
73
got
0.
So many teams put up 70 over last week. I can't keep track of it.
Well, let me ask you, because I meant to bring this up actually. What do you think about that whole situation? Because literally before the game, they've got the coach on an interview talking about we're just being realistic. Like the resource gap is insane. Like he literally said, and I quote, "We all know what's about to happen on Saturday." That's like, bro, how do you lead your guys out to hey, we about to get fucking slaughtered, nigga, but we getting fucking $5 million to go play them, so we gonna use that to. How do you feel about that? Is in the college landscape? Like, it almost seems crazy to go play a game where it ain't even a prayer that we gonna score on them, let alone win, but we get this money to play them that we get to invest in our stuff. Like, how do you feel about that as a situation?
Yeah, it was funny because I actually had this conversation a while back with some of their homies, and I kind of picture myself as if I was on the other side, if I'm sitting there, rolling up to the stadium and I'm playing Ohio State, they're in the rock, and I'm looking around. I said, oh boy, because you could see people say D1, D2, D3, it's not just a skill difference. It's a talent and athletic difference. Like people say, when you're playing pickup with LeBron, people say it's like a wind gust that goes past you, and you're like, what was that? You just can't compete with that in there. When you play those teams, they should be putting up 70 points in there, and you see teams barely have 100 yards. There's total offense the entire game in there. But if it was me, there's been a couple of players that has just balled out. I ain't seen that they won, where they made some plays that's gotten them drafted. So like I said, for me, I might not win this game, but I believe in me. I'm gonna go out there and do what I can do to make a name for myself. So like I said, the schools definitely need it because, like I said, Grambling State's not gonna have the boosters that Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame in there. They're just realistic. You're not bringing that cash flow like that, so they depend on playing those big games because they pay you, a whole bunch of money to go on out there for your program. So I just think when I look at it, if I'm playing that game, let me make a couple plays, make a name for myself, and that might get me drafted. This has happened for a couple players.
Okay, I mean that's a fair point. They talk about that with like even Stephen A was talking about that with like Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. Like, look, you know that when you play her, that's your televised game. Go out there and show them who you are. Don't be mad that her shine, steal that shine on you. So hey, that's a very good point. I didn't even consider that. We gotta keep it pushing in the interest of time. I do want to say one more thing about this Lions before we move on. This is me as a direct message to Dan Campbell. Brother, please start using your fucking head. We are every year making the same boneheaded decisions that we have, and there's no learning from it. I understand that we try to send a message toward the NFL, toward the Bears, toward Ben Johnson today, and run up as many points as possible. I literally texted my mom while I'm watching this game, because she's watching the game too, both Lions fans. I'm like, Dan, we are beating them like a MAC school playing a Division I school. Can we, like a Big Ten school, like when U of M comes to Western? That's what's happening right now. I think we made our point. Let's pull our starters. We're up by touchdowns, a lot of touchdowns, and he kept playing them. And here's the message I get. I sent that at 2:58 p.m. At 3:05, I get a text back. You called it. Brian Branch hurt. Every fucking year. It's the same thing. Every year. Every year. We play in a game for no meaning after we had the number 1 seed locked up. We play it out. I think this was 2 years ago. Or maybe we couldn't. Maybe we weren't number 1 seed. I think we couldn't improve our spot at all. So it's a meaningless game.
Yeah, number 1 was definitely last year.
Yep, it was 2 years ago. You play in a meaningless game. Laporta gets hurt. I understand playing a little bit so you don't have rust going into the next week. At some point, realize when the journey is over, and let's get ready to prepare for next week. Stop putting your players in harm's way, please. He go out there and play every game like it's the last fucking game. When the job is done, let's pull out and get ready for the next job. Pause. But you know what I'm saying though? Like at some point, use your fucking head. I'm a fucking fan at home going, let's keep the players safe. Your job as the coach is to keep the players safe. No player's gonna pull themselves out. Your job as the head coach is to manage that stuff. If I can see it, you should be able to see it. And it's the same situation every fucking year. So please, in the interest of not having 22 niggas on IR like last year, please make some better managerial decisions. I still love you a lot, but please. Where would you? I assume that we've got the same situation. I'm gonna give mine real quick, and I'm gonna hit yours, and we'll move on to the next topic. Ranking the NFC North right now, I've got the Packers, a pretty sizable gap. The Lions, another sizable gap. Vikings, Bears. You view it the same way or no?
For the most part, except for the first part. I know the Packers beat the Lions week 1. But like I said, I think my biggest thing for the Packers defense looks out of this world, way better than I even expected. It's the offense that I'm waiting. That's the part I want to see. Because I think when the Lions play the Packers in Detroit, I think it's a different story. Jordan, Love, man, you got to get that offense rolling. Because if the Lions did what they did today, I just don't think you could match that firepower. If it came down to it, the defense breaks down, and it's a shootout. Like, you keep me missing these passes to Matthew Golden wide open. You're throwing hospital balls at people. Now, Jalen Reed, he's hurt. It's like I said, I can't say sizable gap, but I think definitely Packers 1, Lions, Vikings, and Bears. Like, if the Packers, that offense turns on, then I think, okay, now I can kind of see that sizable gap.
Well, here's where, let me counter you real quick. Here's where I view that completely the opposite of you. The Packers are putting belt to ass against playoff teams without shit clicking on all cylinders. They embarrassed the Lions. They embarrassed the Commanders. Those are two of the biggest dogs in the NFC. Not the NFC North, the NFC period. The only one left is the Eagles. We'll see what happens when we get there. But Micah's only been there for 2 weeks. He didn't even have an offseason with them. As Micah gets more integrated, as his back gets healthier, and then you've got Matthew Golden, this is his first year. he and Jordan Love got to get their timing on. Imagine if those misses, because there was 2 big ones against the Commanders. Imagine you hit one of those. Imagine you hit 2 of those. We're beating asses without shit clicking on all cylinders. Wait till we get in midseason form and see what happens. Boom. Like, that's where I'm saying it's a sizable gap. It's a gap now, and shit's not even hitting all the way. Now, you could make the argument that the Lions are the exact same way, though. That, you know, they got the new coordinators. Well, they got to get shit rolling as well, too. But I don't see the defense breaking down, so maybe the offensive firepower gets neutralized by a better defense.
Counter argument.
Yes, sir.
Who do you think has more offensive firepower? If you go down like the roster,
Lions.
That's what I'm saying. So if the Packers lose another key target, you know, on that offense, you know, Jalen Reed, he's out for, what do you say, like 6 to 8 weeks?
I forgot. I don't have.
I'm pretty sure it is. I mean, broken collarbone. That's at least more than a month. Like I said, the fact that Golden hasn't played, Tucker Kraft, you know, Luke Musgrave, I like that they're coming on. But I wish the Packs would have played more preseason to kind of get that timing down together. Like I said, I've seen the Lions put up 70 with ease. So I think, you know, if I go running back, and then I'm going to take Gibbs and Demo over just pure, you know, Josh Jacobs. I think Jordan Love has a higher ceiling than Jared Goff, but Jared Goff has chemistry with everybody. Like I said, it wasn't, you know, they beat him. Like I said, I still think they're probably 2 of the best teams in the NFC. It comes down to, you know, where we're playing, how healthy we are. So like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. It could go either way. But yeah, definitely Packers right now. But like I said, Lions can, when they're clicking, they give anybody some trouble.
Absolutely. And I hope so. I hope so.
You both ways. So you're like, it's a win-win for me.
Hey, like I said, my 2 best friends fight. One of my best friends is winning the fight. All right. We alluded to the Eagles. Eagles and Chiefs played today. And what was supposed to be the America's game of the week, this bitch was a snooze fest, dog. Shit was not fun to watch at all. You had a team without any receivers playing a team that forgot they had receivers. It was disgusting. Eagles wound up getting it done. Let me real quick too. If you are not following us on Wednesdays during our live shows, if you are not following us on TikTok and Instagram at Late Entry Podcast, it's the time to tap in because we're getting shit kicked off today. Your boy over here, we hit the first parlay, the first posted parlay of the season. We had that up on the TikTok, on the Instagram, and we talked about it on the live show on Wednesday. And every Wednesday, Toph's got his college picks. I got the NFL picks. But we hit one today, so tap in. But I also called, and shout out to Ant because he was fucking wrong this time. I called Eagles over Chiefs. I said that there's no way that you go in there without your 2 receivers and take out the Super Bowl champs. It's not happening. And it did not happen. And it was not fun to watch, but the Eagles did win. The game itself was kind of a snooze. I'll let you talk about whatever you want to talk about with that in a second. I want to talk about the concerns because everyone's acting like the sky has fallen. The Chiefs have lost 2 games straight. And if you go back to last year with the Super Bowl, it's 3 games straight. And what's going on with them? And is the dynasty over? Another situation of, can y'all please relax? You are paying so many different people, and the Chiefs' way that they've looked at things is we're going to invest in our defense. Defense is going to hold weight as they did today, as they did last week. And we're going to let Mahomes cook with some decent receivers, not any Tyreek Hills, no big names, but we're going to let him do that. And Rashee Rice is out for 6 weeks, 4 weeks on suspension.
Yeah, 6 weeks.
6
weeks.
Got,
what, 4 more games?
Xavier Worthy missed today because Travis Kelce tried to take a shoulder off last week. What did you expect was going to happen? Like, I understand Mahomes. I hate when people say he's overrated. He's not. He is everything that he is billed to be. You watch Mahomes, you literally sit down and watch Mahomes every snap. This man is magic. But magic only goes too far. You cannot win in the NFL as a solo act. So if you go in and your best receiver is Tyquan Thornton and Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster, and you play in the Super Bowl winners, what did you think was going to happen? And this is another situation of like me, I'm at home. If I can see this, these pundits on TV, what the hell are y'all talking about? Are you really that gassed up on Mahomes that you just think that no matter what, nigga can go out there by himself and win? At some point, we got to be realistic. And I think that everyone is freaking out right now because they've lost these games. You need to let him have his weapons. They don't have that great of weapons anyway. So when you take away the top of the mediocre weapons they have, it's not going to work out. Now, granted, Mahomes didn't play great, but he's also doing everything himself, and that gets tiring after a while. I believe I heard them say that Mahomes was, for the second week in a row, their leading rusher as their quarterback. That's insane. So, yeah, he missed Tyquan Thornton on that throw earlier. But at some point, it's like you're going to make mistakes, and he can't afford to make any because he's doing it by himself. So I think we need to chill. I think we need to let them get their receivers back. Honestly, they probably needed a better running back. Pacheco's not cutting it. But
and Kareem Hunt, come on now.
Right. But I think we need to let him get his receivers back, and maybe it's not going to be till mid-season when you get Rashee Rice back. Hopefully, Xavier Worthy will be back sooner than later. But they're outgunned and undermanned, and we're still holding to the same expectation that you are when you had a Tyreek Hill. So let's relax. The defense is still playing well. Mahomes is still Mahomes. As we get some more weapons, we're going to see a better Chiefs team. Your thoughts?
Yeah, like I said, just look at the Chiefs. Like I said, we look at the roster. You're like, they can't compete, but somehow they always find a way to win. I mean, when you go to Super Bowl that many times, you know you got something in there. But it's just like any sport. We've seen LeBron year after year. It's like, I don't know how you making these guys go into the finals. There comes a time when you just can't do it anymore. Like I said, football is the ultimate team game. You can't just have one person carry your team. And all 11 people have to be on the same page. And like I said last year, and you looked at me kind of crazy when I said this. I was like, this team's going to have a real good look. I said, do we have to get rid of one of our really good assets to get addition by subtraction? It's like you said that, as good as Chris Jones is, as good as, Trent McDuffie is, you got to think like with our current team, we got people suspended. We have Hollywood Brown coming in and out the game. He's hurt. Like I said, eventually they're going to look and see, do we have enough on the roster right now to go through the Ravens, the Bills, the Chargers? Like, that is a gauntlet to go through, let alone if you get there to beat whoever comes out the NFC. And I personally just don't think that we could put this on Mahomes and just having, former second-round pick players like Tyquan Thornton out of Baylor, who's a flat-out burner. But he was never like a true number one. Juju Smith-Schuster, he's just an okay guy. Now, Hollywood Brown, yeah, he's a burner, but like I said, he's not a true number one receiver. Rashee Rice, who I think he is good. But like I said, at this point in time, if you're going up against, the Bills, and you've seen it, even against them, they could score just like that. He cannot compete with that firepower with what he has. So I think you got to look, said, okay, if we get rid of Chris Jones, we still got, George Karlaftis, we still got Nick Benito, we still got some players. Like I said, if you're in the Super Bowl every year, you're going to have the 32nd pick or the 31st pick. You're not going to get, a Matthew Golden or a really good player. You're going to get a solid guy, but you're not going to get top tier talent. You can't keep doing this year after year because, eventually those guys got to get paid. Every year, someone's reaching the market. I think, unfortunately, you have to make some real hard decisions. Say, okay, if we want to compete, we got to keep Patrick Mahomes while he's still young and at, his superpowers. Our window is only so long. You've seen it, people go just like that. I personally still do believe we got to get rid of, one of our probably good players, maybe have some good role players. You're not going to get nowhere near the talent. If you get a couple of players to make it just a little bit easier for them, I think they could do it. Because you see Isaiah Pacheco, he used to go crazy in the playoffs. You kind of hope that it kind of transfer the regular season. But Kareem Hunt, he's a journeyman in there. He just can't compete with what he has with these high-powered offense. They can score just like that. It's just not feasible. We kind of seen LeBron. So I don't want to, it's a football thing, but it's the same thing. He would get there, but he couldn't compete with the Warriors and things like that. It's just too much fire at the end of the day. And I think the Chiefs are kind of slowly reaching that point where we're good to get there. We just don't have enough to compete at the end of the day.
Here's where I disagree with you on the blowing it up perspective, or not even blowing it up, but getting rid of
but just
somebody.
get rid of somebody. Yeah,
The reason I disagree with that is the fact that, and I don't know, the Super Bowl obviously they got fucking destroyed, but they still
yeah.
got to the Super Bowl, and the AFC I think is a harder path than the NFC is.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much that holds up for the Super Bowl perspective, but excuse me. The Chiefs, like I said, I think the way they're looking at it is like, we've got him. We got Himothy. We got one of one at quarterback. That's smooth. Defense is pristine. All we got to do is hold you down. Mahomes is going to score enough points. The Bills are kind of built in a similar way of the fact that, like, Josh Allen isn't throwing to Stephon Diggs anymore. But if you take, and now granted, James Cook is way better than Pacheco is. But
Top
I think
10 back.
But I think that the Chiefs' defense is way better than the Bills' defense is. If you take Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman off the Bills, how many games are they winning? That's where the Chiefs are at right now.
I think they can still get to the Super Bowl, but yes, they're not, as nearly as lethal. But Josh Allen's skill set, he's the super force multiplier. Even with,
Yes.
no Stephon Diggs, he can still get the job done because he's just, when it comes to it, he'll run you over. He will do whatever, jump over the whole team. He's just like the ultimate gladiator, but he's enough to get it there.
But the reason
Like I
that
said,
he
yeah, at the
always
same
loses,
time.
the reason he always loses to the Chiefs is because that defense step up, and then Mahomes make that one play he got to make. And that's all I'm saying is that Precious was on last week? She said Josh Allen was doing it with Chuck E. Cheese people. You got both of Mahomes' weapons are gone right now. If you do it with Chuck E. Cheese people, what is Mahomes trying to do it with right now? So that's what I'm saying is, like, you know what I mean? It was still a close game today, and he doesn't have his two top weapons. Give him one of them back, let alone two. Let's see what happens before we start saying that the sky is falling. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a good point, but I also think just like basketball, football is a game of matchups.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, if you got to go through the gauntlet of the Ravens, the Bills, that's already tough in its own. Like I said, when you go through that, people are going to get, banged up. And like I said, I think you have to kind of make it, as easy as possible. Where you're not asking Mahomes to, be the top rusher. Because like I said, he's had ankle injuries. I feel like every Super Bowl, he's not even at full 100%, strength, but he's still making the plays that's needed. I just don't think, to keep him still at his peak powers, we got to make it easy on him. We can't keep asking them to put this cape on every single. We're talking about regular season games. They should be winning. It should not be this hard for them.
There's no other superstar that's never had to put the cape on, though. You talk about LeBron. Yeah. LeBron puts the cape on. You're talking about Josh Allen. Josh Allen had the cape on against the Ravens. Now, Lamar both has the cape on and has a squad. They're kind of doing some different shit over there. But everybody else, even Justin Herbert against the Chiefs last week. In the fourth quarter, Justin Herbert had the cape on. I don't think that asking the, quote, best quarterback in the league, potentially best quarterback of all time, to put the cape on, that's what we're paying you for.
I mean, you're paying them, but like I said, in the day, you want at least, some games you got to blow a team out. Like I said, okay, let's get this out the way.
Right.
They're going against, teams like, how many one-score games that they had that the Chiefs pulled out? Like, we can't be doing that every single week.
I think it's
because
just
they win. Because if it was the other way around, they lost some. They're not in the Super Bowl anymore. Like, it was very close. If they would have lost even half of those, we're talking about a different story now.
I think that it's just a fundamental way of looking at your team construction that we're seeing this differently. I think I'm seeing them more of like, you remember like Shannon Sharp always talked about like the Trent Dilfer Ravens. The defense going to hold you down. You just need to get us one score. I think that they, after Tyreek Hill, stopped viewing themselves as we're going to put 50 on you every game and more of like, we just got to get to 14. We just got to get to 21. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying, but like I said, I think it's the evolution of the game. No team can just have a flat out defense. It's too hard with the new rules. You can't really touch people. It's like, you just can't play that smart of defense anymore. You had to have just a somewhat balance in there. Yes, if you got a super defense, we're seeing these teams with super defenses, Yeah, it's good, but like I said, eventually it's gonna fall apart.
Hey,
It is
Josh,
hard to just lock
Josh is,
someone down for a complete game. It's impossible today's rule set.
and that's why Josh has lit the Ravens up week 1. I mean, you've got a
Yeah,
point there. Hey, look, if you're watching the video, not only leave us a like and a subscribe, but let us know in the chat what you think. Do you think that they just need to get their weapons back and it's going to be all right? Or you think that, like Toast talking about, we need to break one of these defensive players off and spread that money around, get somebody else? Let us know what you think. All right. On to I would say a lot of the games this week were not amazing. Or today, I should say, were not really amazing. It was some more grinder actions. The high
definitely better
fly.
than week 1.
You thought so? Week 1, I thought was fire. Every primetime
No.
game and the noon slot had a good game.
Okay, we got spoiled by like Ravens and Bills. That really carried. The Chiefs, Chargers that carried as well too. But I feel like an overall whole, I think it's a lot better.
Steelers and
Yeah, yeah.
Jets.
I mean that was a surprise one. So
Eagles
you
and
definitely take that.
Eagles and Cowboys. I thought week 1 was better personally.
I like this week better, but hey, we can always have our opinions there.
Yes, sir.
Maybe because my team won.
But the fireworks were out for Cowboys and Giants. Our boy Malik Nabers cooking. It's funny. You texted me. You said Russ is cooking right now. Russ was cooking, but he cooked too long. He burned the fucking meal, dog. He had the nice Hail Mary, get him out there, and then here comes the hero. If you are not familiar with Brandon Aubrey, let me tell you, this is why today, why I got him on both my Dynasty fantasy teams, dog. I am never letting him go. That man is a banger. Kick that bitch from outside the stadium through the uprights.
Did you hear the story about him?
Yes, they said that he was on it.
That was crazy.
They say he was on his couch. His wife said, I mean, shit, you can miss him like that. Motherfucker went outside and started drilling 50-yard field goals in his backyard or at a park. Hired a kicking coach, went to the UFL, and then they got him up out of there.
Shoot, I heard that. I thought about, let me pull over my car and see if I kick a couple in here. See what I could do.
Hey, Squeezy 2 Kixie. But yeah, so it was crazy. You had the Hail Mary from Russ, and then the Cowboys get into field goal range, tie it up. And then Russ, it's hilarious. The announcer literally made the Twitter joke. He said, Russ was back there like, hey, Nabers down there somewhere. Motherfucker cracked me up. He was like, the problem was Nabers was running the hitch. Russ just threw that motherfucker up there and threw a perfect completion to the defensive player. It was over from there. And it's like that, I think, is like the plus and the negative for like where Russ is in his career right now. Is like Russ had a career day today. Of all of the Hall of Fame level stuff he was doing with the Seahawks, he had a career day today and capped it off by throwing the game-sealing interception, which the Cowboys then got, 1-2 completions, and Aubrey went ahead and got that field goal for the win. So it's like, and it goes back and forth because before overtime happened, I'm like rethinking the Jackson Dart stuff. I'm like, I don't know, man. Russ kind of cooking right now. This is what we wanted to see with Russ and Nabers, and they were doing it. And then it's like, all right, but when the lights were the brightest and they had to go out there and do it, Russ folded. So I know you are the number one Jackson Dart fan in the country. Based on what you saw from Russ today, do you think that Russ earned more playing time, or you think that they still need to pack it up and put Dart in?
I guess, I mean, it really comes down to, what you're trying to, do. Like, I get it. Brian Daboll, he's coaching for his life right now. Like I said, it depends on if you think you can compete, then you of course have to put the best people that you feel like gives you the best chance to win. I think the team is cooked. I've been saying that since before the season started.
So these niggas is chopped.
Yeah, because like I'm saying, I don't have to pull it up on me, but when I went to that list, I said LLL. It was like 0-6, and you got the bye week. I said if you're 0-6, 0-5, 0-6, you're the Giants. It's already hard to get out of a 0-5 deficit. I think at that point, your Dayball's probably gone. I like Dayball. Like I said, you've had a long time there, man. You got rid of some Saquon Barkley. You let him out the door. That's a bad look for you. Like I said, I get it. If you're trying to win in the moment, I do agree that Russell Wilson probably gives you the best chance. He's done it for a long time. He's a Super Bowl champion. Like I said, I think there comes a point in time when, if you're just, looking down the list, we're 0-5, 0-6, and they got to kind of go into, okay, let's salvage the season, see what we got, because there's a lot of talent, on that Giants team. That defensive line is hellacious. Like I said, eventually, every year goes on, someone new's have to get paid. Nabers is about to get the super bag when he's up. I think,
Oh yeah.
listen, I'm going to say it right now. I know I got his jersey. I think he could be easy in a couple of years knocking on the door. Said, okay, let me get to the table. I think I'm the best receiver in the league.
Oh, it's
He's an
coming.
LSU guy, just like those two. I remember, him coming out. Him and Marvin Harrison Jr. are tied to the hip. Malik Nabers got robbed the Blitnikoff that last year. They gave it to Marvin Harrison Jr. Well, granted, I love Harrison Jr., but in terms of stats, Nabers blew him out the water. And now we're kind of seeing right now, Harrison went 1, Nabers went number 2. And we've seen from last year to this year, Nabers is blowing Marvin Jr. out the water. I don't know if it's because he's in Arizona, but then again, Nabers didn't have that. He had Tommy DeVito. I think I threw a pass to him last year as well, too. So like I said, I'm going to take Kyler Murray over those two. I think Nabers has an amazing skill set. He's fast. He's a big frame. 50 ball. You've seen it today. He said, I'm going to go get that thing in there. Now, if it's me, I think the Giants got to build up that dart to Nabers connection as quickly as possible. Then hopefully by next year, you build that chemistry. Now we could go in, fresh season. You got Cam Scatterbo, the Terminator running that ball. I like what we got going in there. So I'm just in the impression that, we got to be realistic. I don't think our roster could compete this year, but at least want to kind of get some building blocks for, the future.
I'm going to keep it quick so we can touch on some other stuff, but I still view it, if Russ plays the rest of the season like this, I disagree. I think that the Giants have been losing, and not just losing, devastation, no hope, devoid of any sunshine to ever shine upon their faces. For last year, it was bad. And that was Nabers' welcome to the league. I think that you've got an argument to be made right now, and tell me if I'm wrong, that Nabers might be number 3 right now, period, of receivers, after the other 2 LSU guys.
I mean, after CD Lamb.
Oh, I forgot. Yep, that's the one. That's the one.
Because I had CD, I had Justin, Uno, CD, I had Leak 4. Yeah, this one, I'm taking CD out. Mr. He look like Jalen Rager with these hands out here right now. So I would at least move Leak to 3. And then, let the LSU boys duke it out.
So okay. So I would say at worst, number 5. At worst, but probably 4 or
yes.
higher. I think that you need to keep spirits high. I think the last thing that you want is to continue to lose all your talent. You would hate to see Malik go through a situation like a Saquon, or just get tired of just going out there and just fighting.
Oh, that as well, too.
Right. And so I think that you need to try to make this year and I know this sounds childish, but fun. Like, either way, no matter which quarterback you play, you're not making it anywhere. But let's at least win a few games, have the vibes a little better. You know what I mean? They were one Russ pick away from potentially celebrating for the first time in fucking decades in that building today. You know what I mean? I think that everyone was eating today. And, the vibes were high. They had, Russ through that Hail Mary. They had him lifted up. Malik was celebrating. I think that you needed to go out there and do that. There's no reason, if you're not going to win, to wind up trying to do Jackson Dart like you did Daniel Jones. There's no reason to go out there and throw him to the wolves. The offensive line is shit. Why go out there and beat him all up? Let him sit, learn for him a year, and let Malik be happy he's catching some balls finally. Someone can get him the ball with consistency. Pause. Hey, yeah, pause. But
pause on my boy.
But you see where I'm going with this. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, let's keep the vibes up and then have all off season Jackson Dart next year. Or maybe toward the end of the season, at least, maybe once it's all gone, throw Jackson Dart in for the last few games. But I see no reason you're paying Russ, if he continues to play like he did today, why you would not let that go for at least more weeks, if not the whole rest of the season, and then make the transition. It's a hurry to start Dart for what? the same result, if not worse. That's
The
where
only
I'm at with
problem,
it.
no,
And
like I said,
that's hinging on Russ doesn't play like week 1. He plays like today.
the only problem with that philosophy, which I said, a couple segments earlier, we're at a different time. Like over the past 5-6 years, quarterbacks don't sit anymore. They
Mm-hmm.
have to play because they're getting paid a metric ton of money. Granted, while they're on that rookie contract, you have to see what you got with them. That's my only problem with Russell. Like, we know what he is in there because you got to think as each year goes on. Dak's making 60 million.
Mm-hmm.
That means when Jackson Dart goes up, he's going to get that money. Same thing with Brock Purdy. You see what he is. The 49ers didn't want to pay him that money, but the market's adjusting that. When it's his time, you got to pay him that. If we're sitting there waiting on Jackson Darton's, time, as each goes on, because, as we said about, Micah Parsons, you got to pay them now. If you wait too long, that money goes up and up and up. That's why I have to say, like, Russell, he's not the future. We know what he is. I get you want to compete, but these contracts are getting astronomical. So like I said, because if Jackson Stark's not the guy, you got to find the next guy in there, because now you're just wasting everybody's time. Malik Nabers, he's going to get expensive as well too. You cannot play with your salary cap. You're going to end up like the Saints. You run out of money. Look at the Bengals. They got all these players, and they still got holes. That's like my biggest, with the argument. If we were in the old time when people weren't making that much money, yes, let them sit. But contracts are just too much now. You don't really have the time or the money to wait that long. You got to see what you have.
My only other rebuttal to that, because you make good points about the salary cap, my only rebuttal to that is you're already paying Russ. Like, that money's not going away. Daniel Jones, who we're going to talk about briefly in a second, looks like a whole different person outside of the Giants organization. What happens if you ruin Jackson Dart the same way you ruin Daniel Jones? Because it's the same shitty offensive line.
Yeah.
That's my closing with that.
Which is another good point as well too. But like, I think we're just in a different time. But even they you drive another street, people are impatient. It's the same thing in NFL. Coaches are getting fired. You got people lined up. You still paying them. That's like my biggest point.
Absolutely, and that makes sense. All right, so Joe Burrow is he
Hurt
got
again.
turf. Yep, he got turf toe. People are scared that with talking about offensive lines, people are scared that he's going to be the next. Oh, I can't think of the guy's name. What's his name, Doug? Andrew Luck. Do they think he's going to be the modern Andrew Luck?
That's a good comparison.
So Joe Burrow expected to be out for at least 3 months. Let me ask you,
3 months?
3 months. It's
over.
It's grade 3 turf toe. So,
Man.
for this season only, who is more cooked, the Bengals or the 0-2 Dolphins?
Bengals, because you just went to the off season. We're trying to pay, Hendrickson. You have literally between 3 players, was it like 75% of your cap? Like, this team had aspirations to make the playoffs, but be competable. It's like to kind of say for the Super Bowl. It's like
ignorant ass nigga, dog.
So the Dolphins, they can't beat the Bills. We didn't, expect too much for them, but the Bengals, while you got superstar Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, who arguably is the best receiver in the league. For me, it's basically Super Bowl or bust. They've been there once. You're basically playing every single year. It's trying to get back to that level. Dolphins, let's be real. We don't expect them to make the Super Bowl. So like I said, for me, it's definitely the Bengals take the L on that one. 3 months, that's basically the season. Like Jake Browning, he's cool. But we saw the man threw 3 picks, almost lost him the game. Like, he could cook for like maybe 2 or 3 games, but you don't want that man starting it all.
Let me give you potentially a crazy idea to save the Bengals season. Ready?
Hold on. Keep going.
Yep. Okay. So I'm thinking. No, actually, I want to see your face when I drop this.
All
right.
It's hot as hell up in here.
This is crazy. This is me with my mad scientist hat on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a capologist. I don't know if this will work, but if you could make this work, you trade Trey Hendrickson to the Lions, free up that cap space. You trade for Kirk Cousins.
I doubt that Henderson had like a no trade clause, but Kirk Cousins still makes a lot of money. That's why he's
a
not
ton.
cut for the Falcons. And I feel like like I said, yeah, the cap. I don't think they even have the money to do that. It would make sense, like I said, if you could make a move. If there's any quarterback that's even you could get right now, yes, he makes perfect sense. But I think salary cap wise, they could probably do it. I don't know what that would take, but yeah, I mean that would be your best move.
Use him for the season and trade him after the season.
Yeah, or just cut him. But yeah, I mean, he's the only.
You trade him again so that they can take that salary cap hit because Kirk's making a fuck ton of money.
No one's taking Kirk Cousins in the trade though. That's the problem. That's why he's still on the Falcons now.
I thought the Falcons didn't want to trade him.
No, they wanted to, but like I said, it takes a lot of money, and like I said, they're going all for the Michael Penix, and there's just no market for Kirk Cousins. It's because like I said, it's the same thing with Russ. His age, you might as well go young, unless you think you're at a competitive level. It's like to kind of say again, you just don't need him. He just costs too much money.
Yeah, like I said, I guess maybe I understood that differently. I thought that I had heard the reporting that they were not getting rid of him. That they were like, no, we want to keep him. But maybe, like I said, maybe I got that wrong. Speaking of Kirk Cousins,
his own, he wanted to play. It's like it was kind of more of a respect thing for him as well too.
Speaking of Kirk Cousins, Adam Schefter woke up this morning and shows violence for no reason. He took a crazy shot at Kirk Cousins. Listen to this. Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins returns tonight to Minnesota, which helped make him the fourth highest paid player in NFL history. With his money guaranteed for this season, Cousins has now made $321.5 million guaranteed, trailing only Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, and Russell Wilson. Cousins is the only quarterback on that list not to win a Super Bowl, and he has only won one playoff game. The second part of that tweet was not needed.
I mean,
he woke up and was like, "Hey, fuck Kirk Cousins."
he's not wrong. What do we always say? Primetime Kirk. If you're doing your parlays, take the other team. If it's a primetime game, they lose. It's just the truth. Truth hurts.
So would you? Okay, maybe Kirk doesn't work. Do you just fucking sell the fucking season and just rock out with Jake Browning, or do you try to get somebody else?
Since it's this early in the season,
Carson Wentz, Gardner Minshew.
No, definitely not.
Taylor Heineke.
Definitely not. Taylor Heineken? No.
Who do the Eagles just get as their backup?
Ooh.
He was
remember.
He was in Minnesota before.
Is it Josh Dobbs?
Dobbs is with the Patriots.
Oh, Kenny Pickett?
No, not Kenny Pickett either.
Pickett?
No. Fuck Kenny Pickett. I don't ever need to see him.
It might come to me eventually, but
let me look at it up. Eagles backup.
Kirk Cousins is the only person I could think of. That's the biggest thing. He just costs a lot. He can't be Jacoby Brissett.
Sam Howell.
Oh no. No. You need somebody with experience.
That's why I said Kirk.
Yeah, he's the only one. Literally the only one. Unless Derek Carr wants to come out of retirement.
Oh my God.
And I don't like him, but you need somebody that's experienced. You can't go with this Sam Howell, just a fringe guy. If you really want to compete, yes, you gotta have somebody like that.
You know what? I had an idea, but it's stupid because they're in the same division. I thought I was cooking for a second. I was gonna say, what do you think the Browns let go of Joe Flacco for? But literally in the same division is not happening.
No, yeah, they wouldn't do that.
Well, rest in peace, fucking Bengals. I'm so sorry for y'all. It was supposed to be the year.
Yes. And one of the big knocks on Joe Burrow is, he's injury prone.
Yep. I mean, shit, that line does not help. The Dolphins, I got nothing for y'all niggas except for y'all trash. And it doesn't look like it's going to be any better. Did you hear the interview with motherfucking their coach today? They said, well, he was answering a question about what happened or how do you not lose the game. He was like, so in order to win the game, I shit you not. This is essentially what he said. In order to win the game, you can't lose the game. And essentially what we did today was how you lose the game. Yeah. Like, you can't, in order to win, you can't lose. And yeah, I'm like, this nigga gives me no faith as a fan. Like, I do not have any faith that you are going to be the person to turn this shit around.
Remember what I said literally last week? He's, nobody respects this guy. Like I said, he's lost the locker room completely. You can't take this guy serious.
Players only meeting after week 1.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like I said, I think it's time to blow it up. Also, I want to say, if you guys remember, our boy Kyle, he said that Mr. Darren Waller was going to go for 1,000. Second game he has not played. I don't know how he thought this guy was going to come off the couch and get 1,000 yards. I thought that was the craziest thing I've ever heard. But just want to put that out there as well too.
Yeah. Speaking of losing the locker room, I'm just putting this on everyone's radar. I'm not saying it's happened yet because I'm not inside the locker room. A video came out today of Liam Cohen addressing the Jags after their loss today. From the video that I saw, the body language I saw, and maybe I'm just reading into it because it was a loss and niggas look defeated after a loss. He's addressing them. It did not look like they gave a fuck what he had to say to them. It looks like, to me, that is lost the locker room watch right now to see. There was fucking, what's his name? Handsome Squidward? What's that nigga's name?
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. During the game, Liam Cohen was trying to talk to him. Trevor Lawrence waved him off. Then you in the locker room. And they did not. Trevor Lawrence looked disinterested. They all looked disinterested. Now, maybe I'm tripping. Maybe it's just because they lost the game. So they're depressed that they lost the game. But like I said, I'm just putting on everyone's radar. There may be another locker room lost. Real quick take. Colts 2-0. The team that nobody saw coming. I thought, like, once again, Kyle and I picked them to have the worst record in the league this season. We thought they had no quarterback.
Indiana Jones. That's his new name now. Danny Dimes is retired. They put him in the casket. He's now Indiana Jones. I don't want to hear Danny Dimes again.
There we go. There we go. And they look good. They got everybody firing on all cylinders out there. Look, against the Broncos too. A lot of people had the Broncos as the sleeper for the AFC this season, myself included. I
did too.
After what happened last season, I was like, Bo Nix, Sean Payton, let's see what y'all got cooking. They got cooked today by Indiana Jones. So,
I mean, like I was saying, like when you go on that Madden list, you start looking at that roster, you're like, I don't see it. But when the Colts play, everybody just balls. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, my goodness, 200 yards all purpose. And I said he's inconsistent. I had somebody in the comments there said this guy, averaged 100 yards, rush yards a game. He did, but like, you even kind of see there's a couple games when you're like, you should be able to handle this team. That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes he's just not on what he needs to be. But the Colts, man, I mean, Indiana Jones, he's in full control, not doing too much. Like I said, if I got Jonathan Taylor, I'm handing that ball off. Left, right, every play. Hey, go ahead, do your thing.
You look good.
Yeah, I'm happy for the Colts, man. That is a surprise.
I'm happy for Daniel Jones. And what it's crazy, It's like we're seeing there's so many situations, and this is what I talk about, like part of where, and I know that you're talking about, how other people
Shane Steichen, man.
Well, you kind of alluded to this. People talk about like we're in like a microwave society where we want instant success. And this is where my whole like wait with Jackson Dart thing comes from, is like people play too soon, they don't get enough time, and then they wind up like Baker Mayfield bounced around, looks like a fucking baller with the Bucks. Sam Darnold just beat Aaron Rodgers today with the Seahawks. They thought that he couldn't play dead in a horror movie when he was with the Jets. You had
he's still seeing ghosts,
right? Daniel Jones now leave the Giants. He's looking good over there. Sometimes it's a change the scenery. Sometimes you can't give up on somebody too soon. Now, granted, Daniel Jones and the Giants, that was not going to work out, but it just shows that sometimes these guys that we think can't play, they just need a fresh start.
Every player that's left the Giants, there's Cook.
Absolutely.
Saquon, Odell, other than his injuries, you still had some success in there. Not nearly as much as that, but you could say Giants are a trap organization.
Oh, yeah.
You leave there, you look good, man.
All right, let's pick tomorrow's winners. So we've got game 1 is going to be the Chargers versus the Raiders. Who you got?
This should be an easy question for me. My guy. I got his jersey in the back right there. Give me Justin Josiah Herbert. I don't know if that's his middle name, but it's not even in the moment. Give me what do you call it? It man, if man.
If man.
Yeah, give me that if man. Pause.
I'm with you. There's nothing that I saw from week 1 against the Chiefs that would make me think that they're slowing down to anybody other than the biggest dogs in the AFC. I'm talking about the Ravens and the Bills. Aside from that, I'm taking them based off of what we saw week 1. Now, tomorrow's going to be a good test. It's going to be a division rival. They got some dogs over there with the oh my God, the Raiders, excuse me. But
Hey,
I don't think it's going
Chargers
to be
look like
enough.
the best team in that division. I called it. I said I would not see the Browns if they win that division this year. You guys looked at me like I was crazy.
Well, when you said that, the Chiefs still had 2 receivers.
It didn't matter. I told you I didn't care who they had. I stand on this podium and said, "Give me the Chargers." I think they could do it.
You did.
I believe in Harbaugh.
It's been 1 week. Let's see. Starting tomorrow. Let's see how that goes when Max
2
Crosby's
weeks for
in
the
his face.
Chiefs. if they get blown out, I'll come here Wednesday and I'll hold that in.
Okay. Game 2, Texans versus Bucks.
Give me shake and bake Baker Mayfield. I believe that the not Chargers. Buccaneers are underdogs.
If that's true, that's crazy.
I think that but yeah, give me Baker, man.
Yeah, we agree on both then.
We saw last time him and CJ Stroud played against each other. It was a shootout. Stroud ended up pulling that game out, but yeah, I think people are sleeping on the Buccaneers.
Texans are already undermanned. Stroud has not looked like Stroud like rookie year at all yet. I'm taking them. I'm not betting on this, but what I'm going to tell y'all is that if the Bucks wind up winning by 10 points, I'm not going to be surprised.
I wouldn't either.
Not at all. Not
even
at all.
in Houston. I don't care.
Nope.
Both the Chargers and the Bucks are away. Give me the away teams.
I have so much respect and admiration for Baker Mayfield and dog Mbuka.
I'm with Baker Mayfield since Oklahoma, man.
How do you say his name? Mbuka?
Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah, that motherfucker is a dog.
Ohio State's finest.
So, yeah, like I said.
In the history books.
I'm thinking probably 10 points. I'm not betting on it, but I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me.
Hey, I'll say it, 10 points. What the Packers should have won by.
Any final thoughts from you before we sign off?
No, overall, man, like I said, week 2, it's really good football in there. I feel like the offense, has woken up. Like I said, each week that goes on, teams will kind of, get their stride. I'm still waiting for that explosion from the Packers. But like I said, when teams don't play preseason games, I don't know why. You're going to have rush. You could play practice, all the time. But until you get them live reps, you got people trying to, kill you. That's different kind of speed. So now NFL is doing good, man. I'm really happy with it. Yeah, I just can't wait to kind of see about mid-season, kind of really see what teams are about and who's just completely falling off.
I want to give a shout out real quick. Terrence Crawford, my man. Showed up big last night, dog. Going up in weight class and got the job done. I know a lot of people were skeptical of it. A lot of people didn't want to do it. Hey, your boy on a little hot streak right now. I had the Eagles. I bet on Crawford. I'm on a nice little run right now, and we had the parlay hit. Right now. I'm on a 3 kill streak right now.
Hey, my parlays ain't hitting out. Nah, lit. So don't go with my legs.
But
do the opposite of what I do.
Hey, shit! You might have just jinxed my 10 points on the Bucks.
That's a lot. It's gonna happen.
But no, shout out Terrence Crawford, man. You represented last night. That shit was incredible. Start to finish, I feel like you were putting the work on him. And I know a lot of people
said he might be the best fighter of history, or at least of this generation.
Yeah, so
there's a lot of debates about it.
I heard Max say that basically he's the GOAT of this era. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, shout out. That was a great fight to watch, and shout out to you for stepping up. And they said that he is the first. Let me see if I have that stat real quick. He is the first men's 3-division undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. Fucking dog. And that nigga looked like a fucking little person next to Angel Reese.
Oh, boy.
That's all the time we got for us tonight. Don't forget to like, subscribe. If you watch the show and you know someone that doesn't watch the show, recommend it to them. Let them know that we got it popping over here at Late Entry. And if you are into gaming, Toph and I got some stuff going on. We got Late Entry Gaming, another channel. This is all video games, not sports. But tap in over there with us as well. Late Entry, we out of here. Peace.
We out.